Good afternoon, Therapy Army. Let's be having you. Where are you? Big up to everybody. Love and light. How we doing? Big up, Khalees. Hello. Leave a like on your way in, man. On your way in, people. On the way in. Welcome to United Real Therapy, people. How we all doing? Big up, Tom. There's Tom. Hopefully, Saeed will join as well in a minute. Big up. We got a fan-packed show for you today, people. We're going to be discussing a lot of topics, people. A lot of topics. Let's talk about it, people. Let's talk about it. People. Yeah. We see Man United trending. So there we go. So does the Varane injury mean Man FC need to sign a central defender in January, or do we trust Lindelof and Maguire? Does Van der Beek need to leave Man United in January? And then the final topic is Messi the greatest of all time, people? So jam-packed for you. Some questions for you here. Big up, Tom. Tom, how are you? How's the Steel City? How's those?
Evening. Yeah, man, it's good. It's all good.
It's all good. Big up.
I was Mank Town.
Manchester started off mild this morning, beautifully mild, and then later we got the colder it's getting. Yeah, Varane apparently is injured, but some reports are saying he's fatigued. It could be that he's fatigued.
He's tired, apparently.
Yeah, he's fatigued. So we're not going to see him anyway till after. They're not going to be able to play. We've got Maguire and Lindelof for 3 games, people. Strap in, strap in, people. We got Maguire and Lindelof for 3 games. So strap in, people.
Absolutely.
Back to life, back to reality. So we're not going to see Varane. We're not going to see Martinez anytime soon, anyway, injured or not. Till the 31st. So, yeah, they're out of these 3 games. So it's the Burnley game, the Nottingham Forest game, and then the Wolves game. So, yeah, big off. Manga love. To me, to you, to me, to UFC. Here we go.
So we say what's
it? UFC.
Are you talking about Maguire?
Maguire, Lindelof, mate.
Oh.
Well, I'll just break.
You know what though? He's actually had a decent World Cup, yeah. I just think it's all gonna go down the drain, because when he puts that Man United shirt on, it becomes so heavy that he just gets drained in it. And like I said, it just looks out of his depth. But,
the only thing though with Maguire is, notice when he plays for England, he doesn't have the pressure of having to have the armband on and lead a group of players.
There you go.
But Man United is completely different, where you give him the armband and it's shocking. Like, people with cussed Maguire for long enough and everything. The reason probably, Said, why you called him Harry Beckenbauer in that little 6 months that he had, where he was actually pretty good, was when he actually didn't have the armband. For the first 6 months. The final, I think it was like 2 months of the season, they gave it him when Ashley Young left, didn't he, in January?
Yeah.
He left to go for free to, I think it were Inter, wasn't it? Inter or Aston Villa, I can't remember it. Well, that a while ago.
More of like $1 million, I think.
And then, and then you gave the armband to Harry Maguire because Nuruddin said it many times. When he walked through the door, he was like a captain figure, and you know, the way he come across to people and things like that. I mean, I don't really buy the bullshit, do you? At the end of the day, like even with Ten Hag, when the quotes that he came out with, where he said he can fight his way back into contention, but if you don't play the game that I want to play, in other words, the door's there. And he didn't just like say it about Harry Maguire. He said about a lot. He said about every player. He said, I always say that the door's open for players when they come and speak to me, but if they don't want to perform on the football field for me, then the door's always there if they want to go. And that's how it should be, really.
Facts. I think that's the truth. And I think for me, you know, even Lindelof, I'm looking at him and thinking, you know, even him for me, you know, that 2 games that we had, I thought he was a bit dodgy as well. So I don't know. I think them two, it's just an epitome when we're in trouble. Who's always 2 that's there, just available all the time? And it's Maguire and Lindelof. Not even a Twanzebe, not even a Menji to come out of the woodworks, you know, just to kind of like make sure that their position or whatever is, you know, is under threat. It's them 2. They always survive. So let's see if this Maguire form carries on and he somehow, you know, we could get through this time, because obviously Varane and Desandra won't be available until at least minimum the 31st, which is, I think, Wolves away, is it? I think.
Yeah.
So, and that's a tricky fixture with that new manager, man. I tell you what, man, we didn't need him soon, man. New manager bounce, Unai Emery. New manager bounce, this manager here. So we have to be wary.
The Stars have a line, Saeed. Both of them, what are they? Midlands teams. Both of them.
Yeah. Style as well.
Yeah. Listen, big up Nadeem. Guys, who's your biggest star and biggest flop of the World Cup? Listen, we're going to be talking about that towards the end of the show, but we're going to hit this home. I think Varane, even if he's not injured, it's going to take time for him to acclimatize mentally. Yeah. I think emotionally, he's going to be drained because with all the different viruses and everything that's going on. Lopetegui, yeah. Big up Lopetegui. He would have been Spain's manager, but obviously Real Madrid and the rest of history. A lot of you actually in the chat are saying that Vicky and Maggie. Actually, I would rather genuinely take. Have you seen the centre halves play for United? Have you seen the centre half in the women's game? Have you seen the centre halves that play for Chelsea and Arsenal? I would actually take them over Maguire and Lindelof. I know you guys are just making jokes, but actually, if you watch some of the centre halves in the women's game, they're absolutely phenomenal. So they're not even good enough to be good as them, in my opinion. That I know that as a shock. I know a lot of brains are gonna be like, what is this? Yes, I did say I've watched the women's game. I watch it weekly now. Anytime it's on the BBC on Sky, I watch it. The improvement in the women's game is incredible. So the days that we could talk about women and go, oh, not as good as because the football in terms of the women's game wasn't at this elite level it is now, and it wasn't that good in the prior. Since they've become professional, every position on that football pitch has improved. So actually, I would take our women's two centre halves. They're more composed on the ball. The more they can play out, the more of like they're competent in what they do than Lindelof and Maguire, 100%. But shout out, big up to everybody. I personally think Varane, I don't trust his injury records at Eid.
He's always injured around this time as well, you know.
Yeah. Listen. At the end of the day, he's played more games for France, if you have me believe, than he's played for Man United this season. So
is it?
At the end of the day, he only missed one game and he's played 6 games in it and missed one game for France. So
wow, that's interesting.
So actually, has he? No, he's played he's played against England. Nah. He played against. Did he play against?
He just missed
Morocco?
He missed the group game, didn't he? The
group game.
Was it South Korea? No, not South.
Yeah.
Korea. Was it South Korea? I think I can't remember.
No.
It was
one
the last
of the games
game
anyway.
made
One of the games.
Yeah.
It was the last group game anyway because the rest of the players.
So I think signing a right back is crucial. But do we think that we have to sign because I don't trust Maguire and Lindelof. I don't. I'm sorry. I don't trust when one of them plays with Martinez or Varane. I don't trust both of them. I don't. I just do not. I got too much PTSD from those two. So do Man United go out and sign a defender? Or can we maybe, because apparently there's some reports, I don't know, either two of you have heard, and you know this is his agent and the agency that's representing Maguire. Like all the fan base are going to go, no, don't sell Maguire, because we're like, oh, Maguire's ready to leave Manchester United. Spurs are interested. I'm like, I'll help you. I'll give you a backy right now, mate. I'll keep you there.
What did Ten Hag say though? He said, right now, he's not told me he wants to leave or anything like that. But if it does come a situation, then he's not gonna shut the door against you. This is what the manager's been talking about all summer. He said, yo, if you want to be here, you can be here. But if you don't want to, you can leave. And that's what I like about the manager. He's like, yo, for now, he's not giving me any reason that he said, oh, I want to leave or anything. So, you know. What did he say? What did Maguire say as well? You know, he's playing well for England. And
that about when Rangnick was the manager, that he can play for both. That is, if he's a bad player, why have I been picked by both?
Why have I been picked? Yeah, you know. So,
well, there were nobody else then. That were why.
That's what I'm saying.
Varane was always injured, and you didn't have Lissandro Martinez.
And also, he said something about, I'm at the biggest club in the world, and you know, this is the pinnacle, basically. So, I generally think he might just see it out his contract and be like, you know what? Let me just rake as much money as you can.
What are you going to do with Phil Jones and just stay on year after year and just die into the background? Harry Maguire, right?
Bro, if he can still play for England and Southgate's still manager, and by the way, he is. If he can play for Man United and be second, third choice, and still be the not England captain, but be part of the squad that goes into the Euros. Listen, I think he'll take that. I really, really do. I think he'll take that because again, he's not got no ambition, has he? I don't think he is, but I think right now he's living a dream. He's playing for Man United Football Club.
I think it shows though, doesn't it? Like you look at a lot of the situations that Ten Hag's dealt with this season. He's made some big calls, if we're being honest, with big name players or superstars. Like the big one's obviously the Ronaldo saga, isn't it? The other situation was the Harry Maguire captaincy, and then the media were portraying that he'd frozen him out of the team and things like that. Then you've had what he's done with Jadon Sancho, which there's the scrutiny there from the media as, is there issues there between the manager and the player and, he's exiled him from the squad. It's nothing of the sort. As far as a lot of people know anyway, it's due to him personally. And Ten Hag's put in a personal plan. And if it was a problem between him and the manager, why would Ten Hag send his own coaching quality guys that he knows from the Netherlands to work with him on a program for 2 weeks? Why would he do that if he wasn't, wanting to improve the players, mindset or the quality that he can produce on the field? Because there's a player there. Even with Harry Maguire, I think, let's be honest, we all know there was a player there at Leicester City, but that was where his level was, Leicester City. And that's the thing. And I know we spoke about it last night, Nuruddin, on the podcast show when we were talking about with Martinez, the goalkeeper, Emi Martinez, and if he could take that step up to a bigger club, would he still produce the sort of quality that he does now? That's the ultimate question, isn't it? With some players, is you have some players that can take that step up and they'll excel. Your Virgil van Dijk's, the price tag, 75 million, don't bother him at all. Bang, and 2 years' time, he's the best defender in the world. But some players don't have that weight and can't control that pressure where you're playing at the biggest club in the world, you're worth £80 million, you're the captain as well. There's just three things that are on your mind. And then you have the media scrutinise you every week. And obviously we have fans like ourselves who will scrutinise you and criticise you. But prove us wrong then. That's the only thing that you can say. If you need to be able to motivate yourself as much as the coaches do.
Now listen, 100%. But listen, do we need to? All of us are guilty of it, and we're all guilty of it because we're scarred by the mistakes that they both make. That this type of football that we want to play, we can't really play it because the slowness and how much they dwell on the ball. But is the Tweety right? If we have the same bad energy towards Maguire from the start of the season, he will be poor again. We need to trust him and show him love. It's all about confidence. I 100% agree with that in terms of any player. All players is about the confidence.
Of course.
And I think that, well, obviously, we can only talk about the data that we've seen. Like, Maguire did have great 6 months. And I will remind people, those 6 months, Man United conceded more goals than anybody, than Liverpool, who are third or fourth or sixth choice centre-halves. Centre-halves they were buying from Preston, where they had centre midfielders playing for them in defence. So, and that's what I've got to say. Like, but at the end of the day, he's the captain. That's what we have right now. We have to trust him, and we have to get behind him. But I genuinely do think Varane, in terms of our top four ambitions, and I'll come to you, Saeed. I think Man United want to get into top four. And I think that would help the sale if the team is looking like the Glazers might be able to get money. So if I was advising the Glazers, which I'm not, by the way, I'm not.
Oh, no, really, no. You didn't clip there.
If I was ever to advise, if any advisors, if Neil Ashton is listening,
get out the door.
I know Neil Ashton watches this, get them to sign a really good centre half, because if you got top four ambitions, I don't think Lindelof and Maguire in 3 games. It's going to be suffice, and we don't know what Varane's going to come back with. There are reports that are suggesting there's mixed news on Varane, by the way. There are reports suggesting that he's out for 6 weeks, because of his injury. There are reports saying that it's just fatigue, but we already know he's injury prone. So, Saeed, I'm going to ask you this question. If Man United have top 4 ambitions, do Man United go and sign a centre half, right back, and a striker? Yes or no?
Centre half, first of all. I think for me, I looked at that Gavadio. I think for me, he'd be a dream signing. You know what I mean? If you're talking about 20 years old. When I looked at him, everyone said he's left-footed, but I think he's two-footed, you know.
Saeed, he's done. He's going to Bayern Munich.
Well, listen, we can dream, innit? You know what I mean? With the Saudi owners and the Arab money, we can dream, but we can dream, Nordin.
You see, I'm telling you, you know what I said to you before? I've said it on this channel and I said it on Saeed TV. By the way, people, go and check out the Straight Jacket podcast. Very insightful. That went really fast. What a really enjoyable and fascinating podcast we've done. Obviously, the height of the World Cup, obviously, been yesterday. But go and check it out, people. So make sure you go check out on Saeed TV. I said it to him before. I said Saeed handed in his Giddy FC card. He handed it in there. Now Saeed's taking them both back. He's like he came in, thinking everybody was asleep, man. Saeed's bouncing into houses, you know what I mean? Bouncing into my flat, taking like he's Santa Claus, you know. Bouncing in the middle of the night. Taking both of his cards. He's fully giddy. You can see it on his face.
No, I'm not. That was big news, you know. That was big news what David honestly reported yesterday. Because again, if I'm getting it from some, you know, tier 2, this is tier 1 news. All I can say is that from what I've seen, there is progress. They're working to get this full sale in place. But in terms of centre backs, Gavadio would be a top. I just don't think United at this minute are gonna be concentrating on a signing. I really don't. Centre back signing, sorry. I think for me that is the lower list of priority. Right back is a must because I want to see Wan-Bissaka gone. I think for me the time is done. I think, you know what? I think for me when he came into the football club, you know what I mean, he was a breath of fresh air. I think he was top right back in terms of what he was giving us defensively. We haven't seen that because Young, Valencia, they were all going forward. You know, Raphael going forward, but to actually see a defensive right back, it was a bit of a strange one for me. But for me, he was top. And then obviously, as we started to play more expansive, we wanted to play a better football. He became very, very limited. So right back for me is a key one. And what was the other 2 positions you said?
Striker.
Striker for me is again high priority. For me, high priority. If we don't buy a striker in the January transfer window, I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I don't think we're gonna achieve that many. Barring a miracle by Ten Hag, I don't think we're gonna achieve anything because to say that we're gonna rely on Martial for 6 months straight without no injuries and without no hiccups, you know, it's not even injuries, you know, Nordin. It's hiccups. Martial always has hiccups because it's always like a recurrence of the injury. It's always a reaction to an injury. I think for me, that one there is where Martial gets stuck on. And obviously recovery, rehabilitation, does he take it seriously? Does the club take it seriously? That's another thing there. So, and then I don't want to see Rashford deployed as a striker because, again, there'll be games where you're thinking, oh my God, this guy can't do it. Then in a big game, he'll turn up. And again, it's going to be very, very inconsistent. So I think for me, centre-back is going to be very, very unlikely. Right-back has to be on point. I think when you're looking at centre midfielder, if we can get rid of Donny van der Beek, I don't want to use that word. If Ronnie van der Beek is sold...
No, just free him, Saeed.
Free the money, yeah. If we can free the money from Donny van der Beek, yeah.
And free him as a human being as well.
Yeah, as a human being.
From the absolute nightmares, Man United.
Yeah. If we can get 20-odd million, listen, I think, you know what, there might be a potential signing in terms of midfielder. I generally do. Maybe midfield option because at the end of the day, bro, we need something different to Bruno Fernandes. You know what I mean? I know Eriksen is playing further deeper. We need a little gem. You know when you can just go and get that gem for 20-odd million? Go, you know what it is? And that could be Unahi. Unahi. What if we go get Unahi for 20-odd million from what's the club called? Angers.
Yeah.
If we can go and get him.
Is he at Auxerre or Angers?
Angers.
Yeah, big up. Listen, big up. Nadim said the meltdown over the Messi wearing the bish is insane. There's so many different cultures. In the world. We'll be finding media if they poured alcohol over it. Well, the thing what that is Nadim, is that it's cultural ignorance. They don't know anything about that culture, so they're just going on the ignorance. You know, they're just ignorant. So forgive them for they don't know. You know what I mean? Big up everybody. By the way, there's all over 105 of you in here. Please like in the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. And hit that notification button because it lets you know next time we're live. But big up to you all. Tom, I'm going to ask you the same. I think centre half now becomes crucial because I don't trust Varane's injury record at Man United. I just don't trust it, bro. So genuinely, I think Man United are priority now, even more than a right back. I 100% think a centre half is because I just don't trust Lindelof and Maguire. I'm sorry. I want to get behind them. When that game kicks off on Wednesday night, I'm gonna be like, come on, guys, bigging them up, saying, come on, let's go, boys. But getting behind them all the time, but I don't trust them. I don't trust them for the longevity of the season. So I think a striker and a centre have become crucial. But what do you think?
Get the super chat.
Yeah. Big up, HK.
Big up.
He says Anderson from Crystal Palace is a very good defender and a great on the ball.
Yeah.
So far as well, would cost too much either. You know what? That's a good shout. But would
he's very aggressive as well. I like him.
Listen though, Saeed. We're talking about a club that literally bent us over. Like no Vaseline, you know what I mean? Not even a kiss goodnight after. None of this. They just came and wrecked us, right? So, do you think they're going to be able to sell? Unless we have to find out, HK Music, how much of his contract is left. If he's got 1.5 years left,
let me check.
We might be able to tempt them, right? That's what we need to find out. So he's going to have to look that up. So it depends. But for me, you ain't getting anybody out of Crystal Palace for that cheap one. When we bought one, they already know we got Wan-Bissaka for 50 million. Oh my God. Just saying that makes me laugh. Big up Kleb. Kleb says, SD right back, striker and right back up. Glazers out. Big up Kleb. HK Music then says, Martial ain't getting injured anymore. Juju's gone. Watch.
2026. His contract runs out.
So, he's got 4 years. He's got 4 years.
4 years left, man. He already signed in 2021.
They want 70 million at least for him, mate. No chance.
And also, you got Vieira as well. Vieira don't like United. Vieira. Oh, Vieira.
Yeah, big up HT Music. The competition would give us a different kind of number 10, as well as a better on the ball as well. No, 100%. But that's if we get rid of Donny van der Beek. 100%. And we sort that out. So big up.
In terms of the Martial one, the one HK Moose said Martial ain't getting injured anymore. Bro, I pray, man, because if there's one player that just needs a run,
we all pray.
Yeah, we all pray, by the way. But if there's a player that just needs a run without injuries and just to be flowing, it's Martial. Because once he goes in his stride, listen, I don't want to say too much because I know what the fan base always like to clip me up, but listen, man, he could become a top striker. And I think where people like, you know what? People just don't rate him enough because he's not consistent. And that consistency comes from his injuries. Martial was fit and firing. Bro, man, everybody knows his qualities.
Facts. 100%. 100%. It's another super chat that I missed. So, Tom, my question is, has a centre-half now become priority if Manchester United want to achieve what they want to achieve this season, which is to get in the top 4, maybe a trophy or 2?
Probably so, yeah, because at the end of the day, a lot of clubs do it where they invest in January and then it gets them over the line at the summer, winter, at the end of the season. You look at it from last season, for example, Spurs were off the pace before that January window, and Arsenal looked secure to get the top 4 at that particular time. Spurs rolled in a couple of midfielders. They bring in players like Bentancur for Conte. They bought, put in the plans to get Richarlison. All these kind of players to give him the progression that he needed and the boost that he needed in the team. Bringing like Kulusevski was, brilliant for them. And in the end, they got over the line. Arsenal didn't invest in areas that they needed to, like they needed that striker that they were chasing in the January window. They were looking at Vlahovic and things like that. They didn't get him at the end of the day. They didn't get the player that they needed. And that could have potentially got them over the line. And same story for Man United. I think similar to what Saeed said, you need players who are going to get you over the line at the end of the day. I personally think you need centre-back, right-back, you need a midfielder, you need a striker as well. But what are the priorities? I mean, I wouldn't trust the back line anyway, because I think you've got 2 players who are incompetent in Lindelof and Maguire. Varane I wouldn't bet my hat on him being fit for the rest of the season. He's going to have an injury at some point. But then obviously you go around the houses for, well, who's available and this, that, the other. And if I'm being honest, I don't even think Man United would have a plan to go and get in January as a centre back anyway. To be perfectly honest, I don't think there's a name that sticks like Frankie De Jong did last summer. It stuck because we needed that midfielder. There wasn't a name that really stuck to go and get at centre back right now at the moment. Right back, there's options, isn't there? There's Frimpong. I've always liked the lad at Norwich, Max Aarons.
Yeah.
I've always liked him. Brilliant young player. Bayern Munich and Barcelona looked at him at one period in time, and instead they went and bought Pavard. Bayern Munich anyway, and Barca went and bought Sinjura Dest instead. So in a case, it could have been what could have been. But when top clubs like that are sniffing around a young English player like that, that happens very rarely unless a big European club like that is sure of you. Just like Jude Bellingham, for example, is right now. They wouldn't touch you just because you're an English player for no reason. You've got to have something about you that fits them. And I just think like in that sort of model, midfield, Moses Caicedo I think is brilliant at Brighton. But as well, I think Man United missed the boat in the summer when they didn't go and get Paulinho, the guy who's at Fulham now.
Brilliant player.
Can you remember that game that we played? That final game.
Yeah.
He absolutely battered around in that midfield. Yeah. And there's one of him, and we had 3 world-class midfielders in that game. Fernandes, Eriksen, and Casemiro, I think, played, didn't they? Yeah. 3 arguably who people say on their day are world-class against one unknown Portuguese midfielder. And I think maybe if this World Cup was at the end of the season and he continued the form, it might have made a Portuguese squad. But, you know what could have been.
I'm not going to lie to you, Tom. Big up people at HK Music with a super chat. I've known about Paulinho for a while. How much money they signed him, and I was so shocked.
Oh, it was shocking.
He did not get played in the World Cup. I was absolutely dumbfounded.
That's the manager, though, isn't it? He's stubborn. He's stubborn, that manager.
But that manager has not got a job now, so we'll see. Big up HK and Music. He says Martial underrated by the fan base. He's just got to stay fit. Now, I think majority of the fan base rate him. I genuinely think the majority of the fans rate him, but they get frustrated about his injury, how prone he is, how injury prone he is. So genuinely, I think majority of fans who know about ballers, they know Martial is because we miss him. He makes a huge difference in the way we attack, how we construct moves, how he drops into the hole and brings people into play, man. If you don't analyze football in that depth, then I feel bad for you.
That's why Ten Hag looked.
Yeah, big up Saint Me. I said, if you don't sign a striker, Spurs, Newcastle, Liverpool, City, Arsenal are finishing higher. Means 7th for you. Benzema said he wants to play in London.
London in what team is that? Is that near your team, your pub team, your shisha team?
Does he want to become? Listen. Does he want to play for Shisha All-Star 11? Is that what he wants? Yeah. Shisha All-Star 11, yeah, on the Sunday, yeah. Is that what he wants after the Saturday night heavy Shisha session? Yeah. Is that what he wants to play for? Listen, the rest of it is just bad. What I love about Sain is that Sain backs his club so much. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. He's ridiculous, man.
By any association, if France would have won the World Cup, it would have been like Saliba's won the World Cup. Saliba's played maybe 15 minutes. You know,
yeah, it's
like
true.
It would have been shameless. But big up, 100%. I agree with you in terms of like us not finishing. Like,
anything could happen, man. Anything could happen.
If you don't get a striker, and I think centre half for me has become a priority. Me personally, if you don't get a striker, I think it could be good night to finish in top 4.
Good night, Vienna. See you later.
It's good night, Vienna. But listen, I really want to move on swiftly to the next topic, right? We all know that genuinely, yeah. We've all known it. I think everybody's wished Donny van de Beek well. During lockdown, Man United made sure, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer made sure that Donny van de Beek was doing a one man's impression of self-isolating from the rest of his team. Sat there by himself on the bench, nowhere near him. He wasn't even on the bench. He was on the stands That's how mad it was during lockdown. We can all remember that. I was part of the crew. I was part of the senior management of the Free Donny van de Beek campaign, 100%. And I just want to revisit this because I genuinely don't think keeping until the summer will do anybody good. Because at this moment in time, I just want to remind you guys, Manchester United need to box clever. Manchester United need to treat. They can get loans. They need to identify the types of players that they can get money for. Now, at this moment, realistically, we can get maybe 25 to 30 million, maybe 25 million for Donny van de Beek. I think that could free us maybe to spend on a striker, maybe to get a right back, or to get a centre up, or to get a right back. Any of those areas. So for me, if Man United do get a right back, it has to be very defensively good right back that can cover the two guys who are slow. Well, Maguire, who's very slow anyway, and Maguire then will have to go back staying on the right hand side, and Lindelof playing on the outside. But we'll see it on Wednesday. Maguire would play on his favourite left hand side next to Luke. Well, is Luke Shaw back? Is not Luke Shaw back? Luke Shaw's back.
No, he might be back, but they're coming tomorrow, so we'll hear about all of it tomorrow. The training tomorrow.
So it might not even be. Who's been playing centre for Man United at the moment? It's been McTominay.
No, it's been
Lindelof. You guys did. Tedemeni got injured. Tedemeni got injured, didn't he? So I don't know. Well, we'll see how fit these players are ready to go anyway. But for me, I think that so Man United need to box clever, but just to end the nightmare on a human level, the human level. I know that he's been getting paid. I know there are homeless people. I know there are loads of people struggling in this world. And in relation to that, you think Donny van de Beek still getting paid, still picking up his check, still getting a hefty pay for Man United. But on a human level, in terms of how many years we wasted of his career, I'm talking about football career being very short.
3 years.
Majority, average players retire 32, 33 at the most, right? Don't listen to what the likes of Ronaldo, they're one-offs. Messi, they're one-offs. They're like, Alves, they're one-offs in world football. Yeah. They're the exception. They're not the rule, right? So
they're the ultimate Zimmer frame.
Yeah. Listen, they're literally the exception, not the rule. So do Man United on a human level, just to reset his football career, just for the new year, new start somewhere else. Do you think that Man United should let him go and see what much money they can get for Donny van de Beek? Yes or no?
Yeah.
And another thing I want to clarify as well, because if we're gonna keep Zidane Iqbal, then we're gonna have to make a position for him in the pitch for him to come on and play the Donny role anyway. So do you think that we've already got ready-made guy to step into that shoes that Donny's left? With that thinking, should we let Donny go? Should we let him on a human level, on every level, 365 degrees? Look at it, not just one aspect of it, the holistic approach to Donny van de Beek's future in football. Do we let him go? Yes or no?
No, I think for me, it's a clear yes. I think it has to go, not on loan as well, because the manager said that anyway. He said, we're not doing no loans. It's either you leave or you stay and fight for your role. One thing for me, though, with Donny van de Beek, I watched him in the game. What game was it? Where he just looked so clueless. Was it the Carabao Cup game, was it? Yeah, I think it was the Carabao Cup game against Villa, yeah, where he was roaming around. He was following the ball, but just couldn't get into the game. And I felt it was a bit too soft for me because you know what it is? You have to almost, sacrifice. He's sacrificing himself for the team. And that's ultimate team player. Don't get me wrong. It's something that I think is good. But you've also have to have that bit about you where, you know what? You make things happen or you try and, But then I look at it in that way, is that he's not that player. And what he's doing, he thinks that other players are going to find his runs, and they're not. And then he isn't that sort of player that will drop into the shoulder and kick at the ball and then drive with it. He's not that sort of player. He runs into certain spaces. He picks up intelligent runs. He tries to, and I think for me, that side of the Man United's game, they've never, ever tried to adapt to him. And he, again, hasn't found that relationship with other players. He doesn't have like-minded players. He doesn't have a Tadic that can drop into different positions. He doesn't have that. And ultimately, it is a bit of a sad situation. But for me, let him go in the January transfer window. I'm a bit concerned as to what we'll get, to be honest with you. I think we won't get that much. 10 to 15 million at max. I'll be honest with you. I don't think we'll get 20 odd. That's just my own opinion. If I'm proven wrong, then I hope so, because we need a lot. But I think we'll be lucky if we get 20 million. But ultimately, we need to free up space now. It's become more than just losing money. It's becoming free space now. You have to free up. Wan-Bissaka, you have to free up. This player, you have to free up. Donny van de Beek now has to free up a space for a player who can then actually challenge Bruno Fernandes. Because I thought that would have been Donny van de Beek, but it hasn't been. But I think we need a player that can come into the team, and then when Bruno's not playing and we can rest him, he goes in like a, what is it, like a glove? What is it? It's something that just fits in naturally. You want it to fit in naturally, and that's what we want. And Donny van de Beek's career at Man United, I'm sorry, it's just been, for me, been a disappointment in every aspect. Not a disappointment on his behalf. Well, there is, to be fair, he could do a little bit more. But in United, there was never a plan for Donny van de Beek. You know what I mean? It was a case of, you know what, we'll assess him, and if he fits in, he fits in. No, you go and try and do something. You go and try and, you know, help him have some game time. Nuruddin, you talked about it, like, you know, until this season, he hasn't had 4 or 5 games in a row. I think he only had 4 games in a row under Ten Hag. That was a period
in 2.5 seasons.
In 2.5 years. Again, that's
absolutely a joke. And I 100% agree. Big up Khalis from Medine Lassie, by the way, Chief Editor United Real Therapy. He says the disgraceful behaviour from the club to done it 100%. It says here, Saeed, your boy Rant said Martial's better than him. But listen, at the end of the day, he can have his own opinion, innit? Big up Rant, by the way. Big up Rant, yeah? And he can have an opinion like everybody can have. That's why that's the beauty of football and about football opinion. I just want to go back to this brother here saying, I would say get John to rotate with Diego Dalot because he's a player as young as Frimpong, wouldn't want to be on the bench player, and he needs a lot of game time. So
I like Juranovic. I'm not gonna lie to you. Frimpong, I haven't seen enough. What's the other player, the guy that we're talking about? You're talking about the one from Lyon. I haven't seen enough. But I tell you what, Juranovic has been one of the best right backs in the tournament. Him with Hakimi, you know, a lot of them have been good. He's another player that, again, if I'm correct, if I'm wrong, but Celtic have already replaced him, or already got the guy who would probably overtake him. So why don't we get him? Probably won't cost us more than 10 million.
Yeah. Listen, I'm going to ask the same question to you, but I wanted to really, Tom, to try to focus on more of the human side. Like, he needs to go for his own career, I personally believe. He needs a new start, a fresh new start. He just had a baby recently, isn't it? Is it true? I think they might have
true.
A baby. Obviously, he's married to, or he's going out with Dennis Bergkamp's daughter. And I'm sure that, you know, his father-in-law is giving him the advice and everything else. But big up Splashnet. He says Donny needs to leave in January for his own sake. But listen, big up to every one of you guys. Smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed, please. Smash that like and make sure you check out Saeed TV's where we did a Straight Jacket podcast, which is fascinating. But big up. We're going to come to the next topic soon anyway. But Tom, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I just think with Donny van de Beek, it's just one of those sad stories, isn't it? Like, at the time when we bought him, a lot of people were saying he could, in 3 or 4 years' time, he could be one of the best midfielders in the world. Like, and to have that expectation of people's opinions, and then to come at Man United in a period where everything, I think a lot of things were different for a lot of people, wasn't there? Because we bought him in the COVID market, didn't we, really? At the end of the day. He didn't have that start that everybody has where you have that relationship with the fans, you have that connection. It wasn't working under normal circumstances where you're on the bench with the actual squad, you're connecting, you're clicking, you connect with the team, if you like the team hotel, pre-match meals and things like that, like what Eric Ten Hag's introduced now, where the players are connecting, they are communicating with each other, they're having a life even outside of football with each other, where we've not seen that many times with previous managers at the football club. And with Donny van de Beek, you know, it was a case of you brought him in with no role, no plan, no style of play. I labelled it anyway before. He was the cheapest alternative to Jack Grealish. That was still a quality name out there, because I don't even know how to explain it. That Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he would have done anything to have had Jack Grealish over Donny van de Beek. Anything in the world. If Villa weren't charging £100 million, he would have probably been more of a priority than Harry Maguire was for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because the links that we had every single time to that player, and then Donny van de Beek was the player who we brought in. If you weren't the manager's first choice, like, why is the manager going to be wanting anything to do with you in many cases? Why would the manager want to pick you, select you, give you an opportunity? Why would he want to? You weren't his player. You weren't his choice. So at the end of the day, it's not his fault, I don't think, and it's not his problem and concern. His agent, in many cases, I think, has handled it well. And I think, do you know something? To be fair, I think to Donny van de Beek, I think he does deserve a bit of respect, because he doesn't have Ali Duran, his agent, cussing out in the media like you have with Harry Maguire every single pissing week.
Just to
I'm
say,
not
Tom,
playing games and this, that, the other.
Tom, just to say, he changed agent, didn't he? He changed agent.
Yeah. Well, he's changed agents anyway.
He basically sacked his agent. He sacked his agent, basically. He said, listen, you've got me in this predicament. Why did you get me in this predicament? And then now he's with,
Well, this is the point in case, though, isn't it? Like, you have Harry Maguire who comes out every single week and says, "Oh, I'm not playing," quotes to the media and everything. Donny van de Beek doesn't blow a whistle, and he's not even played a minute for fuck knows how long. Like, Harry Maguire, your period's only just starting, mate. This man's had it for nearly 2-3 years, and he's not blown up smoke up his ass as much as you have in about 2-3 months. So at the end of the day, respect him in that regard. But sometimes players go to clubs and they just don't connect. It just doesn't match the player and the club. It just does. There's just something that's not right. And we've had it with players who have come to our football club, and it's been the exact same story and same thing. Di Maria, for example, he couldn't acclimatise to the English way of playing football, so he went. Falcao, for example, could do it in France, could do it wherever else, but he come to England and he just couldn't do it. He couldn't bring that goal transition that he was doing over there to the Premier League. And that's the speed and that's the intensity of the Premier League. And some players can cut it, some players can't at the end of the day. And with Donny van de Beek, I think, what do we do with him now? I mean, if I'm being honest, I think Ajax would take him back out of respect. I think they would. If I'm being honest, I think there's some coaches there that
can go to Valencia.
That can do something. Valencia,
I think he could go to Spain.
Valencia, let's get away. Let's do a swap with that guy that plays for Valencia. USA, that guy. He's called Musa. Musa, have you seen him? Heard of him?
No.
Musa for USA.
Yeah.
I think we could do a straight swap with him, man. You know what I mean? If they could allow that to happen.
But I mean, you'll get better. You'll be lucky if you get any of his price tag back.
Yeah, just big up Mark Goldberg. He says, Saeed, you abused Bruno. When did Saeed abuse Bruno? For Donny, but you can see why.
It was an opinion, not abuse.
That's all it is. So, you know what? Honestly, some people, there's a differentiate between an abuse and opinion. Is when you make it personal. And like, abuse is what Piers Morgan does to Meghan Markle. That's abuse.
Yeah. That's harassment.
Where she lives in his head for 24/7. That's abuse. That's harassment. That's like stalking. Saeed doesn't stalk Bruno. You don't stalk Bruno. I'm sorry, Matt. But big up for the super chat. Listen, I'm going to ask you guys. Listen. So, Saeed, I'm going to show you a quick answer on this one. So we're going to move to the next topic, right?
Yeah.
Quick answer. Do Man United need to box clever? Do Man United have to look at getting loans? When did Man United ever sign players alone? Because at the moment, Saeed, the club's telling us we don't got no money. Man United have got no money. There are strikers. There are players who are sat on benches in different clubs. Do Man United need to box clever in a transfer window this January and try to get a couple of loan deals?
I think the loan one is techie because it's like with the Felix one as well. If there's a loan with an obligation to buy, I think
no obligation.
Okay, then I would look at loaning. Yeah, I would look at loaning Felix.
You see a striker?
But the thing is, Man United just don't do. When's that time Man United did loans? Was it? We did it for Falcao, but that never went well. The Tevez one didn't go well as well. He had him on a 2-year loan, and then after that, he didn't want to sign.
No. Actually, I want to correct the record, Saeed. Manchester United took their time. Tevez wanted to stay at Man United. Man United took their time in the same way they did with Andres Herrera. And by the way, Saeed, it's absolute embarrassment that they're getting him to come on a podcast and then reminding him on why he left, knowing that We knew
I
Andreas
know.
Herrera was one of us on that football pitch, represented the fans, right? You get certain players. At the moment, is Martinez. Martinez is our representation as a fan base when he's on that football pitch. That don't mean that other players are not doing an amazing job. There's somebody, the fan base literally feels like he's one of us the way he plays football, right? Herrera was that. And they've got the cheek to have him on to basically like emotionally trigger him again after the way he was treated by the club, where the club were saying 350 million quid. And yet again, people, I got vindicated yet again. You know what? Too many people were telling me, no, we can get better than Herrera. I said, this guy is crucial. He plays like a captain. He plays like a Manchester United captain. And when he plays, he leaves everything on that pitch. Was he the most talented player? Was he the most technical? No. But you know what? He was effing better than fucking Fred and McTominay that I've been served up for 2 fucking years. Don't give me that shit.
Nobody's got PTSD of Fred McTominay. Honestly, man. Now, I think with Herrera, like I said, I think... there's 2 different things about the situation with Herrera. People think that he asked for 300 grand a week, but I think when he talks about the situation of that, I was watching the interview, he just said that he just felt disrespected by the club. And that's a common theme, you know what I mean, with the football club, you know what I mean? There's a common theme that goes around. When it's negotiations, they almost put you down to the side and they don't really kind of respect what you've done. Because he did win 2
it's the maddest thing that Man United give the dead ballers 4-year, 5-year contract.
5-year contracts, yeah.
And give the actual techie ballers nothing and get rid of them. So that's what it is, and that's why I'm angry. But for me, I feel bad for Andreas Herrera for coming to Manchester and for him to have that interview. I said it. I kept saying it, Saeed. You were with me. The videos are on Straight Jacket podcast, people. Go and check it out. I was saying it. The briefing against him, Saeed. He did not ask for 365. He wanted them to come too early. And it's really interesting because what reminded me of that is the Tevez. Tevez was exactly the same situation. Tevez, they wait and go, or just, we'll give you this offer. Take it or leave it. No, you don't do that. You don't do that to people. And the way the club now, that guy is doing it, and the way that he's using that as like one podcast you can't miss and that. You should know better, bro. You should know better. If you're not going to call out the people who were responsible, what's the point of doing that interview? What's the point? If you're not going to let him tell his truth, because that's what he's... If you're going to let him not tell his truth, you're going to gag his truth. I'm sure he said a lot more, and I'm sure they told him before they started the podcast, you can't really come out and like go hard at the people who mistreated you. It's exactly the same people who bought Donny van de Beek. Man United ruin players. Ruin. We've been a grave for footballers. Somebody here says about Martial. What stability has there been for Martial? Sorry, it's somebody else. Sorry, somebody was talking before about Martial being not only having good season. You tell me who's had amazing seasons at Man United. Tell me. Who has had amazing seasons? No, they haven't. But I'll go to you, Tom, quickly. Just please let me know what you think. Is it time for Man United to box clever? £1 billion in the red. We already owe 355 million apparently on transfer money that we need to pay to these clubs. Do Man United look at loaning? Do they have to box clever in January to get the players that we need that could help Erik ten Hag till the end of the season?
Well, I think it's you utilise other clubs' weaknesses and make them your strengths in many cases. So the loan market, I think, is interesting, based solely on the fact of that there's a couple of players who are at big top quality clubs, like Saeed said about, such as Felix, for example, who is not in favour with Diego Simeone at all, who is a quality player. Is he more of a striker? Probably not. But you take, for example, the Juventus situation, they are in deep trouble financially, legally. Pardon my French, but they're fucked. You say Barcelona's finances are done. They are done legally because of their finances. That's even worse than the Barcelona situation of being in debt. So you
Who's
take that into
Atletico Madrid.
No, I'm on about Juventus. Juventus.
Oh, you went there. Listen, a lot of people are going to jail, mate.
That's what I mean. They're going to jail for a long, long time for the things that they've done at that football club. in many cases, you look at the situation there and you think you have Vlahovic, who is a top centre forward, for example. They cannot charge you anything above £50 million for that player. Otherwise, you won't entertain any offer at all. That is a player who he was just sitting there. You could just get easy negotiation for Manchester United. Even if you want them on loan with an option to buy or obligation or whatever, they would take it because they are desperate to get finances into that football club. They're desperate. And I'm telling you now, if the boot was on the other foot, other clubs would be penny pinching around Manchester United for any of their quality players that they have. So some club will come in for Fernandez or, Martinez or something. Somebody would come in for these players. They wouldn't be bothered. They'd take your players when they'd kick you when you're down. They wouldn't care about kicking the bollocks when Man United's down because what, you're Man United? They don't see it as that. So the loan market is interesting in many cases, but I think it depends on what area you go for. Because I think a loan for a striker is, I think, make do. I think it's okay. But it depends on the type of player that you're going for. Because, we loved him when he was here, but Odi Nagalo, mate, that was not the level, was it? Let's be honest. The level we needed was a Vlahovic or a Haaland. That was the level. That was the box that we were rating at, not this sort of level. So
right,
I think.
Listen, I have to stop you there because we've got a bigger topic coming up, bro.
Oh, okay.
But quickly on the Andre Herrera interview, it is absolutely shocking what they did, emotionally manipulating that player. Unless you tell to me, you should have done a podcast with somebody else to specifically to tell his truth, because the way the club treated him was disrespectful. Because he actually loved his time in Manchester, even though we were not successful. And he said he won three trophies at Man United, and he was part of that success in the last 10 years. What we've had. So for me, I never forget his tackle in the FA Cup, the only trophy that I actually went out in the streets and celebrated.
Yeah.
And that, to me, I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that tackle to set Martial through in that semi-final of that FA Cup. I will never forget that. And I will never forget what he did at Man City. So quickly on him, what do you think to that as a journalist? Do you think that was out of order? Because you can't tell his full truth. He's gagged, basically.
Yeah, well, at the end of the day, you do something with the club that you played at the end of the day. They're not going to let you say anything. You've had many, ex-players go on there and say what they've said. This thing about that he wanted 300 grand a week and all this shite, it's bollocks. I'm sorry.
That's the briefing. Neil Ashton, I keep telling them to me, it was Neil Ashton briefing that.
Under Herrera, he loved the football club more than he loved the money. You could see that. Like you said, you have players who go out on that football pitch and it's like they're a fan on the field in many cases. They love and breathe the football club. And it's sad when you see them players that don't get let go, but in the right way and respectfully. Like he did his services. You said about, trophies that he's won. If you win trophies at this football club, you deserve a brilliant exit. Yeah. Regardless of, whoever you are, even in the likelihood of a Phil Jones, for example. He's won things, so we have to respect that at the end of the day. He's done a service and he's done a job. Right.
But he was actually
respect
part
to
of
him
that.
Anyway, and
he was a key player. Herrera was a key. The FA Cup, the only trophy that I absolutely went out and celebrated. I went for a meal, and on a weekend I went out dancing people because Man United just won the FA Cup.
And it was a beautiful moment. Jesse Lingard, last minute, you know what I mean?
Exactly. So I celebrated that. It was scenes, absolute scenes in Manchester. The amount of horns Man United won the FA Cup because we not won the FA Cup for quite a while, Saeed. We went close. We went to a couple of finals and we lost. So, listen, big up, Clem. You reckon we'll get Beckham and Frankie? Listen, basically, the Glazers are literally humiliating the fan base. At this moment in time, if I was Jude Bellingham or Frankie de Jong's solicitors, I would be putting in harassment and stalking level of, what's the word when you get somebody to stalk you? What's it called? An injunction. I will be getting them to do an injunction to basically stop the harassment. That's what we do. But we discussed that. We discussed that in further detail. So go and check out Saeed TV Straight Jacket podcast.
Yeah, big up.
You'll definitely catch what Saeed's passion's thinking. Guys, obviously, Messi, we've got to congratulate Argentina. We've got to congratulate Argentina. And yes, I'm sorry, I'm going to say it. I've vindicated again. I picked Argentina. I stayed with Argentina. I never wobbled, even though when they got smashed and people were sending me slide DMs. slide DM saying Saudi Arabia, and I'm like, listen, I reminded people, look what happened to Spain. Spain lost the first game of the World Cup, and they went to lose it. I actually told people it's a good look for Argentina because now their minds are going to be sharp and focused, and it actually helped them other than hinder them losing that first game. That happens in football, people. So, Messi, to me, I never buy into my context. This is what this context I'm going to say. I never buy into the greatest of all time. I don't. I do not. It's the greatest in their era. It's the greatest in their generation. It's never the greatest ever. So for a certain generation that grew up watching Messi, he's the greatest. The greatest for me, the greatest forward, the forward for me in my generation is R9. R9, if he didn't get those injuries, what he would have done would have been unbelievable. People have got Pele. In terms of World Cup, Pele's got 3 World Cups. I know that's dumbfounding. Literally, Pele, when you think about the history of Brazil, he put the whole nation of Brazil. Can you imagine World Cup without Brazil? He put Brazil on the map, right? So quickly, Saeed, is he the greatest in your? Is Messi in your generation, Saeed, or
yes,
is the generation before?
For me, my ultimate, my favorite footballer ever is Ronaldinho. But in terms of the greatest ever footballers ever seen, it's got to be, for me, Lionel Messi, especially in my lifetime. I've watched his whole career, and it's a blessing to watch it, 100%. From where he started from Barcelona to where he's come now, PSG, 35 years old, still playing the highest level, still playing 90 minutes, 120 minutes, guiding, taking, Argentina to new strengths. You know what I mean? And for that team, like I said, to have that balance now with Enzo Fernandez and certain others in the back line, I think it's just been Argentina deserved to win the World Cup. They started off poor, and then I think for me, from that, Mexico have gone from better and better and better and better. Whereas I think France started off well, and I think gradually got worse and worse. But then again, I think, not worse and worse, but the levels dropped. But for me, Argentina, Messi, it just kind of almost, it's the pinnacle. It's the crowning. It's the icing on the cake for what has been a glittering career for me. And
100%.
It's sealed football now. He could literally say, you know what, PSG, bye-bye end of the season. I'm going to go to Inter Miami, relax with the family, and just enjoy the last few years of my career. He could easily
actually, that's really interesting because apparently Inter Miami are put in a proper bid for him, but he's not actually decided apparently. But Saeed, 100% I agree. Listen, there was even people in France wanting Messi, French people wanting Messi to win. Has there ever been a player where the whole globe, really, the whole world is really wishing him? That to me shows the love that he has and how much he's done for football. Both him and Ronaldo have been a joy to watch, absolute joy to watch. I've got to say that. Yep. I've seen them both from the beginning till the end. I'm watching them the beginning until the end, right? I've watched them both. Similar, I've seen, R9. I've seen Ronaldinho. Ronaldinho for me is my second, and Zidane, to be fair. Him and Zidane are close to each other. I also love Seedorf, which is a lot of people don't think Seedorf was that great because they never won a World Cup or whatever.
He could play anywhere, man. Yeah. And I think he's still playing well.
It's mad. It's absolutely mad. And I've got Hullet in there. So in my top 10 of great footballers, we'll do a show on that one to me. Yeah. We'll do a show on my greatest 11 players that I think are the greatest 5, 6 attacking players that I think were great. And Saeed will get that. We'll do it on this channel, no problem. But for me, I think everybody would have been happy. The reason why I personally thought that they were going to win because Argentina finally had enough warriors on the football pitch, Saeed, to basically do bits for him, to just give him that moment to spark, to get them out of a hole. And the way that balance, that fine balance, Saeed, between Messi just walking around sometimes. And to me, in the final, he didn't walk around. To be fair to him, I saw Messi defending, getting stuck in last ditch tackles. Nobody can accuse him because he knew the importance of this game and the way Argentina came out. I don't think it was the greatest game. I think it was the greatest game from 75 minutes onwards. I genuinely believe that. It was the greatest game from 75 minutes onwards, right? But for me, the whole world, there is not anybody, I don't think, you have to be like Arden, like, you have to be a Harden Ronaldo stand or like hate Argentina.
You know what?
I mean? Hate Argentina.
Energy.
Like, like for you to not want this guy, that trophy, what it means. Like, Saeed, I tell the story, right? So in Argentina, somebody, I forgot the name of the book, but somebody wrote a prophecy. Do you know the idea of Maradona now? Somebody wrote a book in Argentina about this prophecy. The archetype of a player to get us winning trophies. This is before they won, before like Messi, before Maradona came onto the scene. They wrote a book and said, this guy has to be the number 10. He's got to be a diminutive kind of character. He's got to be an unbelievable player that will take Argentina to glory, World Cup glory. Saeed, can you imagine that somebody writing a book and then Maradona turns up? And we know what Maradona means to world football. Forget Argentina. What he means to world football, the character that he was, not just the player, but the character that he was, right? What he did in his life while he was on this planet. Rest his soul, by the way. I'm sure he's definitely up there smiling down on Messi and Argentina, right? That's what Pele said. I'm quoting Pele, by the way. But for then Messi to begin where he began, not living, literally, some Argentinians thinking this guy is Catalan. He's not even Spanish, he's Catalan.
Yeah.
He spent, since he was 13, he spent there. So for him to be that, you can't begrudge him. You can't begrudge him. But for me, nobody can be the greatest of all time. In football, it's too much. You might have that discussions in basketball or different sports or like golf. Or
even basketball, they could say Kobe Bryant, you could say Michael Jordan, you could say even LeBron James. There's still a dispute.
That's what I'm saying to you. So for me,
that's why you say GOATs. GOATs
exactly.
is a better term.
And the biggest thing as well, I want to remind the FIFA generation, specifically the FIFA, the tackle from behind and how physically you could get with attackers has changed. It's changed the time that Ronaldo and Ronaldinho were playing to Messi and Ronaldo coming into the scene. So, and then it's changing even more with Mbappe now and like Neymar and these guys. So it's changed completely. The game's different. I mean, just to beg people, Pele won 3 World Cups. Some people reckon he would have won 4 World Cups in 1966, but he was kicked out of that. He was basically injured on purpose so that he wouldn't win that World Cup. Can you imagine that happening now? Like, people like giving you, Saeed, we're talking about like hip level tackles. So this is what it is. So every generation, every player has had a mark. Messi is one of the GOATs, 100%. I don't think we say there's one GOAT in football. You can't have one GOAT. It's GOATs. That conversation needs to be changed. One of the GOATs, one of the greatest, 100%, undisputed. And for what he's done in club level and what he did for Portugal winning the Euros as well, Ronaldo has, even though he got injured in the game and it was very sad, but he still won. He still did things in that tournament to get Portugal to the final. So we say that. And if they would have had a better manager, I think Portugal had an opportunity, Saeed. I think they had an opportunity, incredible opportunity. But to me, yesterday was almost the official handing over the torch, almost.
Handing over the baton to one of the, for me, the best player in the world right now, and that's Mbappe.
100%.
Mbappe is the best player in the world right now. Listen, let's not even go there, man. He is playing at a ridiculous level, man. So, and you know what? Is he one of the most, which, like, you know, when you say like losers, is he like the worst loser? If you talk about like, you know, because you don't want him to lose that game. A player like him did not deserve to lose that game. He did not deserve to lose that game, Nuruddin. Scoring 3 goals.
No, he didn't. I mean,
3 goals.
Like in all, with the penalties, he scored 4 times and his team lost.
and then also, he's got more goals at Messi at the age of 23, more assists. He's only 4 behind Closer, and he's only played 2 World Cups. And he's probably got another 2 after this.
Another 2.
Minimum 2.
He's got another 2. He's got another 2.
Because the next one he'll be 27.
Yeah.
28, and then obviously 32 after that. So he's probably got another 2. And like I said, you know what I mean, staying injury free will be a massive situation. But listen, man, top player, top player. And I'm just, it was a shame, man, because France, I think for me at the end, they could have won it. I remember Mbappe going 100%. Around 2 or 3 people, and I'm like,
100%. Now, 100% dazzling. It's the stop and start. For me, I'm not gonna lie to you. I've not seen a player like him since R9. Explosive, like in those situations, bang, bang, like with the pace and the change of directions and the balance. You know what I mean? I've not seen a player like that. So shout out to Mbappe. Shout out to Varane. Big up Lautaro Martinez, absolute warrior. Like the captain of Man United for me. He's the captain. And I'm so happy that he's won a World Cup. And it's been so emotional. And it was really beautiful to see him celebrate with his family and what he means.
Yeah,
and
man.
There are a lot of people getting at me on saying, oh, Argentina is a racist country. Listen, France is a racist country. I want to remind people, France literally, Saeed, financially enslaved 11 African countries as we speak right now. Right now, 11 African countries can't do their own deals, you know what I mean, like trade with other things without France say so, without France having a say. So at the end of the day, we can talk about that. But Argentina as a nation, Argentina as a country, World Cup, the colors, the fans, everything was amazing. For me, Moroccan fans, for me, were the best. The Moroccans, because they brought something different. They brought an African flavor. They bought so many of them work in Qatar, live in Qatar. So it's like a home tournament for them. And Morocco, for me, were amazing. Like, so there were so many memories. It's one of the best World Cups, 100%. Some of the best shocks. Some of the best shocks. Some of the first time that 2 Asian nations qualified in the last knockouts, if I'm not mistaken.
A best World Cup for me. Morocco story, everything, man. Saudi Arabia. People forget Saudi Arabia.
That goal. That guy in Saudi Arabia is a living legend. He's a living legend. They beat
Argentina. They beat Argentina.
Exactly.
In some ways, it was almost like if they. Some days it kind of was like the bad because at the end of the day they fell off after that. You know, because they went so high.
The high.
You know what I mean? They couldn't get back to reality.
Saeed, they're partying in Saudi Arabia last night because they beat the current world champions.
There you go.
That's what I'm saying to you. They're literally partying in Saudi Arabia because they beat the current world champions. It's absolutely incredible. So for me, all the negativity, go and check out, by the way, Saeed's take as well further about the World Cup. For all the negativity, all the fact that it stopped like mid-season, for me, it's been amazing. For me, the idea that World Cup is in one city and they did it. There was no fan trouble. There's not been any bad violence. Any, like, England fans look like normal. England fans look weird, sober in the stands, you know what I mean?
They, you know what it is as well? There was no violence at all. No police brutality. No anything. Have you noticed that?
No, exactly. So for me,
but America, it'll be crazy in America, man. I'm telling you now.
Yeah, and it's gonna be interesting because I can't wait, Saeed. But they're not my intent. We'll be talking about America. How America locks up more black people than anywhere else in this world. We were talking about that. We're talking about America having the highest prison in the world, the biggest prison population in the world. We're talking about America going and invading, still occupying Syria and robbing their oil. We'll be talking about all this. So all these human rights people, I can't wait to see them all talk about the human rights abuses of the Canadian country when it comes to the indigenous people in that country, with the pipelines that they're building and the oil fields they're drilling on indigenous lands. We'll be talking about those things. We'll be talking about Mexico, what they're doing to the Zapatistas in that country, to the indigenous people in Mexico. We're going to be talking about all these things, people. So let's see if Gary Lineker and Nabeeb and all that, we'll be talking about those things. We'll see, people. We will see.
We'll see, man. Alex Scott and all that, you know.
But honestly, it is what it is. But Saeed, honestly, your moment. I'll ask you your moment of the World Cup.
My moment of the tournament is Morocco. That's the story, the energy that they brought. For me, Morocco, man. You'll never see this ever again. African team. Well, I hope we see it again. You know, I hope.
I hope they can go one further.
Exactly. I hope one day African team can win the World Cup. But for me,
I'm not going to lie to you. If African team goes to the final, I can't see them losing. I'm just letting you. I'm putting it out there. Saeed, that's me predicting. I'm telling you now. If Morocco would have gone to the final, they would have done everything to win. It would have been the most. But anyway, for me, I say Morocco as a whole story. But the moment for me, if you know about our culture, if you know about African culture, if you know the relationship between mothers and sons.
Oh, Hakimi.
For me, I can't say it. Hakimi, Boufal, even the manager, Walid, going up to their mums, celebrating after the game with their mums. To me, it was a World Cup of mums. Like, mums are, for me, people, the afterthought in a lot of people's minds. And even last night, Messi, there's picture of Messi, like
with his mum, his mum
walking away. She grabs him, pushes him into people, and like just gives him the biggest hug. So for me, it was hold tight to all the mums out there. You know what I mean? Hold tight. Unfortunately, my mum's not alive at the moment, but those of you still got their mums alive, trust me, cherish your mothers. Trust me, because nobody, that link between mothers and your sons in our culture is specific, man. I can't go into it enough. In our culture, it's deep, it's rooted. And yeah, to me, it's not even just the alcohol, no cocaine. I used to be a doorman, trust me. A lot of the people who are fighting are high on cocaine. It's not just alcohol. So,
bro, alcohol's one part of it, man.
There was no cake, there was no Peruvian stuff. There wasn't none of that Colombian stuff out there, mate. There was none of that stuff out there in this, mate. So yeah, big up to the organizers. Big up anybody who organized. Of course, there are issues. There are issues in terms of the workers' rights. The Khalifa, what's it called, the Khalifa system that needs to be get rid of. Right? We know that. We understand that. But the fact that the hypocrisy we pointed out, that Europe care about migrant workers, no, they don't. All of the sports wearers, Adidas, Nike, all their stuff are made in sweatshops around the world by porous people. So workers' rights has to talk about in-house these big companies that are based in the West. iPhone, Apple, like nobody can talk, man. You know what I mean? So the hypocrisy of it is bad when it's in a Muslim.
That's why we have to wait until 4 years' time. We're ready, and all these people. We'll see if BBC do the ceremony, innit? We'll see if BBC do the ceremony.
Now, of course, they're going to do the ceremony. And you know what? Trust me, we'll be making videos 100% talking about how disgraceful they are. But yeah, for the mums were special for me. That's what it was in the World Cup. And in terms of Messi and Ronaldo, Ronaldo is great on his own. Messi is a great on his own. And now he's got that final trophy. And nobody could be happier for him. And I say it to those people who say, oh, if you're black, you can't be supported. No, you can. You know what Argentina gives black Haitians, black Colombians, black Venezuelans? They can all go and live in Argentina and get free education. So go and do your research. It's not black and white. It's like that. Yes. Did they erase all of the black people, the slaves that built Argentina? Did they die of like diseases like that where government, didn't help them in terms of medical services and stuff like that? Back in the day, were a lot of them killed off in the front lines of wars? Yes. 2, 3, 4 things can be true at the same time. They're not just only racist against, they're also racist against indigenous people. And whether you like it or not, Maradona is mixed heritage. Maradona's mum's Italian heritage. His dad is indigenous. So think about that as well. They also discriminate against indigenous Argentinians. So remember that. Remember that, people. It's not just that. And for Argentina, for me, you got to be happy for them. Because
absolutely.
Because I tipped them from day one, people. I tipped them. So yeah, I feel happy for them. I feel happy for them. I feel I want Morocco to beat them. If England were in the final, would I want England to beat them? Of course I would. Of course I would want any African team or England to beat them in the final. Of course I would. But for me, you gotta be happy for Messi, for the career, what he's done, what he's done for football, what he's done. Who's inspired Saeed? At the end of the day, we're all in this football community. What is inspired around the world? And the party,
generations now to believe that.
I swear to God, I said it last night. I said it yesterday to some friends of mine, and I was saying it. I was like, if I had 500 quid spare and I had a grand spare, I would have been in Buenos Aires because the party would be different. Trust me.
There's a friend. Yeah, there's loads of people there. Cecil's there. I don't know if you know Cecil.
Yeah,
he's there. And he, like I said, I see his Instagram and whatnot. It's crazy, man. There's that video. Watch the video of that aeroplane that goes around.
The drone. Yeah,
the drone. Yeah,
the drone. Yeah, pick up everybody. Listen, Saeed, let the people know what you're doing, what you're up to, man.
Saeed TV, man. Saeed TV. Go check out the podcast. And yeah, man, just subscribe. Make sure you like the video. I don't know how many we're in here and how many likes we're on. But please, guys, like the video, man.
It's 130 in here nearly. Yeah, smash the like on the video. Subscribe. And those of you, by the way, big up Nadeem, my brother Nadeem. Go and check out, people. King, that's what it's called there. King's Culture Cure. Go and check it out. In last night's show, I put the link in. I pinned the chat on last night's show. Go on, can get 10% discount, people. 10% discount if you type in URT. So big up Saeed. Tomorrow Saeed is back with
best of the rest, Joe.
The best of the best. There we go. Best of
the rest, because we are the best of the rest now. We're not the best.
Exactly. Big up. So take care, people. Love and like. 69 likes.
Love.
That's really shameful. Well,
Shameful.
we've had 140, 145 consistently in the show today, and that's what we're on. I don't know what to say, man. I genuinely don't know what to say. But it is what it is. Please smash a like. Those of you watching this program later on, smash a like. And big up to every one of you who commented, by the way. Big up.
Big up.
Yeah, and also this is the thing as well. Big up.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. What more love to love them. A shout out to the Palestinians as well. That's another moment as well. All the Palestinian flags.
The Moroccan flags. The Moroccan people as well, yeah.
Yeah, man. Big up. Love. Yeah. And all the England fans, the Argentina, the Brazilian fans, all singing for Palestinians, for Palestinians to be free. Big up the whole world, man. It's been a brilliant World Cup, man.
Yeah. Peace, love, life.
With a brilliant, what we're talking about, 45 minutes. From the 75 upwards to extra time, magical.
Brilliant,
pure drama. And that's why we love football, people. Unscripted, at its best, Saeed, drama. Peace, love, light, Glazers out, bankers out. Remember, people, check out Saeed TV in all the socials. Go and check out the podcast. Take care. Good night. Peace.
Peace. Love.
Saeed, so what